Greetings and peace. I hope you and yours are doing well today, wherever you might be watching this from. Now, the title of today's presentation will be The Solomonari and Their Similarities to Freemasonry. Now, the Solomonaris are from the Romanian mythology, and their story involves them to be beggars, you could say. They're disguised as beggars. And their initiatic process, who they are, how they operate, made me saw a lot of Masonic traits in them. And they are a group that has existed before the Abrahamic faiths. So I was curious to present about them since I didn't see any other information about them. So I hope you enjoy what I have to offer, and I thank you again. Here we see the first Masonic similarity, and with the Solomonari. As you see here, the Solomonari wizard, he's holding a gavel in his left hand. He's holding a staff in his right with his axe, which is equivalent to the Masonic sword. He has his the text, basically his volumes of sacred law, and he's wearing his regalia. So the appearance of the Solomonari wizard and the Mason seemed very similar to me. And their story is very interesting as they're half legend and half reality. They're known by the names of Hultani, Grindinari, Salmani, or their ancient name, Kapno Batai. So a lot of people say that they are related with the jinns, which in Islamic world are the entities that were created before man of smokeless fire, and they're one entwined with the spirits of the wind, the forest, and their name implies that they were able to control these entities. How King Solomon was able to, with his wisdom, get these entities under his control and help him construct all of his magnificent temples. Now, it shows you that every man has that capability within himself if he chooses to gain power over these elements, and to not just master himself, but to master the beings and elementals around him. And they show that they're depicted as these wizards that have the power to not just control the jinns, the weather, but also ride on top of dragons. Now, the dragon within is that power that everyone does possess, as we see with even with the Kundalini awakening, where the reptilian snakes they coil up to your crown chakra, and in the ancient Egyptian mythology, they're depicted as well, of how the pharaoh wears the crown with the serpent that comes out of it. So the dragon is depicted here too, of how the wizard rides on top of the reptilian dragon, which is basically all an allegory to master yourself. Now, the Book of Solomonari, which I guess is basically their volume of sacred law, that's where all their power and knowledge is transcribed, and it's kept in a small wooden jar. And what they do is, basically, the Solomonari are believed to be people of the inner earth, where whoever they want to initiate, they take them to the inner earth, and that's where they're kept for a certain amount of years. And that's where their studies are transcribed to them. And when they're ready, they come out, often disguised as beggars in the world, and they do that to test your heart. So if you walk by the street and there's somebody that asks you for help, hey man, can you help me out? I need something to eat. He might be a Solomonari in disguise, but he might be a master teacher and a master wizard, but that's how he keeps himself in an aesthetic lifestyle, to test you, to see, are you really who you say that you are, with all the promises you made before God and man? And if you pass their test, then they continue to bless you. And if not, then the calamities rain upon that community that denied them or denounced them, such as hailstorms or other natural disasters. Now, how they select their initiates is, at the age of 7, the children that they deem to be worthy are basically kidnapped, by the older Solomonari. So it's basically like reminiscent of the story of Hassan Saba, the old man of the mountain, of how he would have a group of children and students and how he would train them to become assassins in their life. And they would take them into the, the caves and the core of the earth, where they are kept and trained in the inner earth and taught to be a Solomonar until they reach adulthood. So similar to Masonry, how one reaches mature age, and they have to be at least a minimum 20 years. So in this school, the Solomonari, they learn the language of all living creatures on earth. So all the charms and incantations, and all they do is basically they're just disguised as beggars, and they travel the world from one location to the other. And their job is basically to, test people, which I found this very similar when I was in Pakistan. I would find a lot of Sufi elders that often use this practice as well, where some of them might be very well set, but they do that to test their initiates, not just to test the initiates, but to test those around them who say that, I'm a good person, or I'm this or I'm that, but they want to see them alone and catch them in a situation to see if they really will help somebody or not in times of need. The Solomonari are often depicted not just to be the masters of their self or the elementals around them, but they are also known to test humanity in all of their wisdom. They're depicted to be tall and fair-skinned beings with long white robes. So they're often like in the guise of a beggar, and they're often wearing wool-type clothes, like ripped clothes or robe-type clothes, like thopes or something like that. And they often have like patches, and the way that they look, most people would probably walk by them, but they are often, what they're doing is they just want to see what kind of heart do you have. Do you deserve their help or their blessing, or do you deserve their curse? So it's just like most people say that, okay, these people are of the devil, but you have to realize that before organized religion came about, they believed in a supreme being, Zell Moxie, who's basically a solar being, one that gives life, or of the light, you could say. So most people condemn and throw away things that they do not understand. And that aspect of being treated good or being treated in an evil way is within these beings as well, and how your actions depends on how they will perceive you and how they will treat you. And their karma and their love that they're giving to you, it's often good, because most people would help someone. The double-headed eagle symbol often appears in Scottish Rite Freemasonry, and also in many of the flags of the Eastern European cultures and nations. But in the Solomonari, the eagle means Holtan, and this is one of the symbols of their supreme being, Zell Moxie, the double-headed eagle, which means the dualistic nature that man always possesses, of life and death, man and women, good and bad, light and darkness. So the Solomonari represent the duality themselves, just like how the Scottish Rite Mason with a double-headed eagle faces that choice as well, of basically there's two paths in one group, and it depends on how you choose to, with your free will, to bear those rewards and consequences. You have the right to experience your own specific path. And the aspect of life and death, men and women, good and evil. So it teaches you that you often are given tasks and choices and heartbreaks and consequences in your life. It's up to you to determine, how will I handle this? How will I bear the responsibility that's been given to me? Will I handle everything in a positive way, or will I have the why me attitude? So the dualistic nature of Zell Moxies, as shown in the double-headed eagle, also prevalent in the Masonic path as well, is that you are given your free will to become a master of yourself. You either master those elements and master all that within you by infusing light and dark together, or you choose the other path where you learn nothing at all. And an example also is given in the Matrix movie, in the end of the third Matrix movie, where the only way Neo can defeat Agent Smith is when he lets his darkness infuse with his light and they become one. That was the only way that they could reset the Matrix and bring peace to everybody. So it's not about just light prevailing or darkness prevailing. The only way there can be true peace and true balance is when there is that aspect and balance of light and dark, not just within ourselves, but within the world that we operate in. The supreme being the Solomonari believe in is known as Zell Moxies, and he is an ancient Greek entity, which is also connected to the Romanian aspect as well. And here you see Zell Moxies depicted with the all-seeing eye, and his mastery of not just the animalistic and nature elementals around him, but the man aspect too. So he's depicted as a man with an all-seeing eye and with animals and nature around him. And what the Solomonari teach you is that those who further themselves in those initiatic studies, they can reach that level too, which is supported by a lot of the religious texts, that all of those divinities or the kingdom of heaven, all of that is within you. And it teaches you that if Zell Moxies is able to achieve that, then so too can the initiates of this school. So there is that similarity to Freemasonry, is that the all-seeing eye and their belief in a supreme being. So I found that interesting of how the ancient Greeks and the Romanians were connected in that way. Here we have a artistic rendition of a Solomonari who's seen guiding the aspect of the dragon, and their roles doesn't teach them not just to be humble as high magicians who disguise themselves as beggars to test humanity, but also to bring those calamities upon those aspects of humanity that did injustice to people or to peasants or whatever have you. So there's that aspect that they play amongst their own self, where one Solomonari can be the one that brings hail and thunderstorms upon lands, which disrespected their poor and the peasants, while, let's say, another counter Solomonari could work against those spells. So even within their community, there's an internal warfare that takes place between two groups, just like how we see the fight between good and evil that takes place between all races, religions, and groups in the world, of the one side wanting one agenda and the other side wanting the other agenda. But their aspect of how humble they are on meeting on the level comparatively to Masonic teachings is that they never forget their real purpose, as they could be the most educated magician there is in the world, but they still choose to depict themselves in a way where the other person would not suspect anything. So it's about those characters and those lessons that one can apply to their lives, and to know that if I was in a position where I needed help, I know somebody would help me. And that's what they're trying to get out of humanity through their actions, and how they are testing humanity by being these beings who come from the inner earth, as their story depicts them as. I thank you for watching my presentation, and I'm glad and honored I had the chance to talk about the Solomonari and their similarities with Freemasonry. If you have any questions or comments, please email me at salmonshake911@gmail.com. All images, thumbnails used were retrieved from public search domains and protected under copyright laws of fair use education purpose. My videos are always non-profit and for education. Stay safe for you and your families. Life is beautiful, and the lessons of this video, whether you're following the Solomonari aspect or the Masonic aspect, is just to help someone if you have the capability to do so. If you have the ability to help someone, let's say you're walking down the street and they need food or water and you can do it, then do it, because it will come back to you. When you need help, those moments of goodness that you put out there, it will come back to you. You don't have to put it on social media that you help somebody. Just unseen humanity out of the goodness of your own heart and capability. Just help them. And the all-seeing force does take into account what you've done. Nothing goes unforgotten or unsaid. Always help someone if you have the capability to do so, and try to leave a better world behind. And right now, with the current phase humanity's going through, we're seeing that those aspects that people had neglected before, such as their relationships with self, with others, their families, are now being forced upon them so they can deal with them and heal from them, rather than all the years that they spent running away from them. Now you have to heal those aspects as the world and humanity evolves into a different aspect of their existence. And right now, for us, it's the Islamic month of Ramadan. So what the Solomonari teach us is prevalent in our faith as well, that if you don't have the capability to fast during Ramadan, if you can support a poor family for a month, or if you can help somebody get groceries for a month, it's the equivalent of that. So please try to help someone if you have the capability to do so, and know that those lessons of goodness and humility and moments of need, when we're in those situations as life goes up and down, we too will get that love and reward back. And my prayers are always with you and your family as time goes on and we delve into a newer reality. So thank you again, and please take care of yourself and your loved ones. All rights reserved. I wanted to add an additional slide with this picture of what a Solomonari would be depicted as in the Romanian depiction of it. So one thing I really admire about the Solomonari is that they're not prideful. They have no ego, no pride. This individual sitting right here might be the most gifted magician in the world and have all the occult and esoteric knowledge, but he would never tell anybody that I'm better than you or that you're lesser than me, or he would want any titles or fancy numbers or accolades next to his name. None of that means anything to him. And that's when the true seeker becomes the true believer. And he puts himself in that position not to show off that I'm this or I'm that, but to show humanity that I'm just like you. And what kind of heart do you really possess if I present myself in a fashion where most people will walk by me? Would you be the one that would truly help me? Would you be the one who would sit down and treat me like I'm one of your own? Or that heart to sit down and break bread with me or talk with me, not knowing anything about me? And how many instances do we see that in the modern world, where most people, they judge you by their appearance, they judge you by what you look like, and they don't take the time to sit down and get to know you. And I think we need to learn from the Solomonari is that you just don't know who it might be that's walking past you. You can't think, or you can't laugh at, or you can't look down upon anyone, because that person might be somebody that you can't even imagine. So give equal respect to everyone, whether it's in your family, in your personal life, your workplace, anything that you're involved in. Don't think that you're better than someone, or they don't deserve your time or validation or recognition, because you do not know in the house of Almighty God who that person is really and what their spiritual rank is. So another slide that I wanted to add towards the end is learn from the Solomonari. Don't think that you're better than anyone. Don't let your ego and pride be your downfall. We're all walking each other home, and we're all here to help each other in our earthly journey, and to be the best that we can be in all that we do. We really need to be there for each other in a time humanity as of now with the things going on currently. So let's learn from them and apply those lessons to our lives in our system of self-improvement and becoming better every day.